Yeah, dude, let it rip.
Okay. Welcome back. It's Trash. My name is John Hunter. We're doing it audio style because we saw our
Back
opening.
to Guerrilla Radio, back to our roots.
Guerrilla. We saw an opening. We were hanging out in Raleigh and hanging out's a strong
We
word.
were robbing hotel rooms.
Well, yeah, and we saw a room open, as we do. Walk in, go to steal the...
Heard the most golden voice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in the shower singing.
Yeah.
He was in,
I was like, who's there?
who is it?
Who's there? Let me put something over my penis.
You're gonna need another towel, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who do we find? The lovely Mr. Dan Soder.
Yeah,
Mr.
dude.
Lovely. I'm gonna
Mr.
call him
Lovely.
That's a fucking cool nickname.
God
Kind of
damn
like
it.
Paul Orndorff.
Mr.
but
Yeah, Mr. Lovely, dude.
Yeah.
Who's never had that? I mean, should have
Mr.
been a name.
Lovely has, I don't know if that's ever been a name. Even like Memphis Wrestling,
No.
I don't think they've given it that. Mr. Lovely.
Mr. Lovely.
Mr. Lovely would have to have some sort of flowery robe, but like I think almost like a lei.
I'm telling you right now,
Fucking-
feathered hair.
Feather. Oh,
Oh,
God.
yeah.
I have to have feathered hair.
You know,
Part in the middle feathered hair?
Yeah, I don't know. You can get wild with it.
It's so funny that like the Memphis wrestling and like NWA early wrestling, you got the most homophobic crowds probably ever, and the most. I mean, the hair on those guys. Just,
Well, that was like one
gorgeous.
of there's a great book by David Shoemaker called Square Circle, where he goes over like the creation of what professional wrestling is, like from the Golden Trio, from the Gold Dust Trio, to like all. I don't know if it's called the Golden Trio, or I know Gold Dust is a reference to those guys, but they came up with the 4 archetypes of heel, and one of them is gay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess like the Gorgeous George, the original.
Well, it's Pretty Boy, Gay, Monster, and Cheater are like the 4 types. I might be wrong with the first 2, but I know it's Unbeatable and Cheater. And so then they were like, oh, yeah, dude. Wrestling fans were like, he's gay? I hate him.
Yeah,
We should
I mean,
come up-
imagine how much. That's why Goldust got so much heat.
Oh, yeah. It was the
Yeah.
best.
yeah.
Shattered dreams.
Even
I mean,
in the '90s too, like everything was, everybody's kind of going with the flow, and then not Gold Dust. I mean,
No.
Dude, they really like tested boundaries. That's what made the WWE so great for a while. Is they were like,
Yeah.
we'll fuck with your head.
Yeah.
And then they had all those gay gimmicks after that, where it was like, all right, dude, you're kind of like,
But because I think Goldust worked, and it's one of those things that any company does where they're like, well, if that worked,
Yeah.
why don't we do it 10 times?
well, I think Goldust was like, there was a weird authenticity to like the costuming and everything,
Yeah.
where like you had like, what was it, Billy and Chuck or whoever those two?
Yeah, Billy and Chuck, yeah.
Oh,
Well, they
yeah,
were just
Billy
like-
Chuck and they got married.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got married, and then they were like,
The
oh, we got
commitment
married.
ceremony.
Oh man, I love seeing Billy Gunn now in AEW as Daddy Scissors.
Yeah.
Daddy Ass.
He ruled.
Dude, he's weirdly in Little Nicky. Just in the basketball scene.
Yeah, he is.
He's on the stands, doesn't say a word.
Really?
He's just on the bleachers.
I think I've watched half of Little Nicky
Yeah.
once. Enough to know that he fried chicken fucking rules.
If
The
you've
book's
ever-
better, but it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always go with that, but it's
It's
not
a
bad.
weird section of the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta go find that. It's in Deuteronomy.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So Raleigh doing some stand up here.
Yeah, met good nights all weekend.
Did you run into Hannibal last night? Was he up here?
He did a show after mine, but I didn't see him.
You didn't see him.
No,
I
he
saw
was-
they put that up like I don't know.
Yeah, it was the line was around the corner, and it was like one of those things where you see where you're at the totem pole pretty quick when you do a half sold out show on Thursday, and then Hannibal's got like a sold to the rafters. They're like, okay, and clear the green room. Hannibal's coming, and you're like, yeah, I was just working here. What's funnier is that they had a soap opera star
I saw that.
do
too.
an earlier show, so I only got to use the green room for 5 minutes.
What?
the
Because
fuck?
before the show, I was like, "Is the green room ready?" And they're like, "No, he's still in there." And I was like, "Cool. Well, this is when you need a green room." So I just sat in another room. I'm telling you, it was the training of being raised by a single mom. It went right back to being like, "I'm gonna go get my hair done. Sit here." And you're like, "Okay."
They didn't even give you any wrestling figures and cigarettes.
Yeah, I know. They gave me
what the
nothing.
fuck?
They were like, they're like, "He's still in the green room." I was like, "The show starts in like 10 minutes. Can I have a coffee or anything?" And they're like, yeah, we'll have someone bring it to you. It's just funny
I
because
guess, pal. Or
and then
fuck.
and then right after they're like, so Hannibal is coming, and there's like a fruit plate and all this stuff that will not be there today.
Here's a jar of pickle juice
It's so funny because
to flick on his sandwiches.
comedy club owners always have to be careful about how much they dote or like treat a celebrity, and you see it because you're like, all right, well, you don't treat me, and they don't need to. I'm a fucking regular guy. I don't give a shit. But it is funny because you're like, oh, you guys do that for that guy? And then me, they're like, hey, you want a burger? And you're like, please?
Well, it's going to be Wendy's. That's as good as you're getting.
That really is. But they're like, all right, I guess it. But it's funny because they were like, fresh fruit plate. And then I guarantee when I go in there today, there will not be a fruit plate.
I got a question for you. Do you think if you brought a lot of people with pastel suits with you, that
They
would up
probably
the
treat me different.
Yeah.
The funniest was, and I've told this story before, but I was at Comedy at the Carlson in Rochester, New York, and it was like the Friday afternoon. Pete Davidson texted me and was like, hey, I'm going to be in the area. Where are you? I'm like, I'm at this comedy club in Rochester. And he's like, oh, is it cool if I come by and do guest sets? I was like, dude, absolutely. It'd be fun to see you. I hadn't seen him in a long time. And so I went and did the shows on Friday. And I told the owner, I go, hey, just to let you know, like, Pete Davidson's coming by tomorrow. I know the shows are already sold out, but like, I don't know if you like have anything special or where he can park, where he won't get like mobbed because he's super famous. And then I showed up on Saturday, and the club owner was wearing a full 3-piece suit.
No.
And I was like, you don't do that. You're not doing that for me. You're doing that for Pete.
I know who you want to dance with.
And then it's so funny because Pete didn't show. He flaked. And I go, so you just dressed up in a suit for me. And I'm back there in a couple months. And if he doesn't, and because he tried to do that thing where he goes, no, I wear a suit every Saturday. If he doesn't wear a suit on Saturday, I'm going to be like, remember when you said you wore a suit every
bullshit,
Saturday?
bro, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Did you get a picture of him in the suit just for a little blackmail?
I should have. What's so funny is it's like, especially in comedy, you see your friends act different around very famous people. And I was super guilty of this. I remember back in the day, DeRosa was like, hey, we were all still drinking. And me, DeRosa, and Bargatze were drinking. And he was like, you guys want to go grab a beer with Bill Burr? And we were like, yeah. And DeRosa was so disgusted with how fanboy we were. This was right after Burr put out Let It Go. And we were like, Mr. Burr, how are you? You know? And DeRosa was like, ew. But we're like, shut up, dude. We're young. He's our hero.
I hate that too, Bill Burr.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, dude, that sucks.
yeah, Bill Burr, you're right.
Yeah. So that's why when people give shit about comics doing it on Rogan, I'm like, oh, I get it. Because I've done it before. I hate it, but I definitely done it.
It's hard to catch yourself in the moment though, where sometimes like you're really into that thing and you're like, wait, I'm just like really sucking this person off right now.
yeah.
That was the best. I just was at Comedy Mothership in Austin, and I was hanging out, and I've never hung out with Rogan, and he's super fucking nice and cool. And I hung out, and thank God Ari was there, so I could just look to someone to check me.
Right.
Like I was like, yeah, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Ari knows that. Yeah. 'Cause you can't be like, dude, I want to learn jujitsu. I don't want to learn jujitsu. But if Ari wouldn't have been there, I would have been like, so how do you do? You know?
I was looking up how to tie the belt.
I even made a joke on stage because I have a joke about people liking Instagram photos, and I said, I always like checking when Joe Rogan posts elk meat photos to see which one of my friends like it. Because you're like, really? You love that he cooked the meat that way? Shut up.
See, that's a great thing about looking like this is if we like someone posting meat,
If I
no
saw,
one's going to be,
If I saw Jason like it, I'd be like,
Yeah.
okay, that's believable.
Any meat, Jason's probably going to fucking
Yeah, like,
like
hey,
that.
did
Yeah.
You only follow like ass models and people who are barbecuing.
I love
Well,
it.
that's fair.
Have you seen
That's
that-
pretty fair.
That's like I follow like wrestlers
Yeah.
and then like
Nah.
other stuff.
Have you seen that one guy though? Speaking of, he's like on Instagram and he looks like he could be either 12 or like 55.
Dude, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and he, like-
I think what he is I think he was a big guy that lost a lot of weight.
Oh,
I think
that
that's
makes
what it is.
that makes more
Because
sense.
the way he like carries himself, you're like, you know, when big guys lose a lot of weight,
Yeah.
you're like they kind of carry themselves.
He's
a
still
little different.
heavy-footed, but
Because
he's
I
like.
saw in the comments, someone was like, "Why would I take barbecue advice from this guy?"
Yeah.
And someone was like, "He used to be real big," and everyone was like, "Fair enough."
Yep.
Fair enough.
You do that test where you're like,
Yeah.
that's like the streets.
Yeah.
That's like a rapper from the streets. Where you're like, what's this guy talking about gangster shit? You go, he killed 3 people. And you go, you know what?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to listen to his raps. All
Like,
right.
that guy used to be 400 pounds and now he's not.
Yeah.
He's telling me about Korean barbecue. He's like a World War II veteran
Yeah.
at that point. It's
He's
like,
like,
thank you for your service.
Son, I can tell you what's good or not.
I could tell you, but he's kind of got like dead eyes. No offense to the
I know
guy,
exactly
but
who
he's
you're
just
talking about.
staring you down and like, it's like,
And he tells you about rubs and
yeah,
stuff.
he's like, yeah, I come this
Yeah.
first thing, and he shows you the whole rest. You haven't seen this guy.
I don't
obviously.
know
Dude,
who
I
he
wa-
is, but I'm going to find him.
I'm going to tell you guys who you guys should follow. Let me look it up. I met him at a 49er game, and his name's Chuck's Flavor Train.
Chuck's Flavor
I'm
Train.
never gonna forget that.
And dude, he does these things where he like slaps the brisket and shows how he prepares it.
Oh, nice.
He's awesome, dude. And I met him, like, here. Let me show you again. He shows the ribs.
Oh shit!
He's a black dude from the Bay Area, and he
Oh,
shows
nice.
how he does like all the stuff. And he's a Niner fan, so it's even extra.
Dude, the headband won me.
But he fucking rules, dude. He was just on Barbecue Brawl.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. His name's Chuck's Flavor Train on Instagram, and
Big
I
love to
love it.
Chuck.
I love watching him because I'm like, this dude knows how to barbecue. And he'll like cut it and do the thing where he presses the knife on the meat, and you see it leak the juice out, and you're like,
He's a presenter as well.
and he's a Niner fan, so I'm just like, all right.
Well,
I'll
You gotta
go
be
with
you gotta be happy to be a Niner fan.
I mean, I'm excited. Week 1 of the NFL. That's when we're recording it. I'm like,
Yes.
I have such a crazy early flight on Sunday. I think my flight takes off at 6:20 and gets back to New York at 8:15 because I'm like, I want to go home, sleep
Yes.
for 4 hours, and wake up for the 1 p.m. Niners at Steelers.
That's-
where I'm like, I need to get, it was like the birth of my child. I'm like, I need to get home to watch Bosa bother Kenny
And
Pickett.
he is back.
This is your planes, trains, and automobiles.
It is. Yeah, it really is.
You guys got our special boy now, Christian McCaffrey, and
And we got your former D coordinator.
yes,
He's our D coordinator now.
Yeah.
And your interim coach. He was your interim coach.
yeah.
And a corner. We got a cornerback from you guys. We got I like that. I like when a defensive coach goes somewhere and players follow him because you're like, that's the sign that they like
culture,
him.
yeah.
Well, also our team died, so this
Yeah.
is pretty much like an estate
I mean, the
sale.
CMC thing was like,
Yeah.
You know what hurt was we went to see Shane at DPAC, Durham.
Yeah.
So he's like on stage, killing. This is
yeah.
And all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, Christian, can you bring me a beer?" Fucking Christian McCaffrey comes out on
Walks on
stage,
stage.
and I'm like, "You son
Yeah,
of
he's
a-"
boys with CMC.
Yeah, well,
it's awesome.
Kittle was
and
there.
Kittle and Juszczyk.
And they were all three were there, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Yeah, and we got to go to a barbecue at Juszczyk's because he lives on Long Island with his wife during the off season, and Shane was like, "Do you want to go?" And I was like, "What do you think?"
yeah."
But I've met them both before briefly because of McDaniel. But it was cool to be like see them be fans of your friend. You're like, hell
Right.
yeah, that's awesome.
It's a weird world because you see these guys like,
They're superheroes.
yeah, and then they're like, "Oh, dude," and like they're actually like doing his material in front of it's.
It would be
it's-
funny if like Batman was like loving your friends. Where he's like, I'm a big Nate Bargatze guy. For my mind, it doesn't get better than him doing the dead horse bit. How do you get rid of a horse body?
I did the Batwing to Tennessee just to see it.
Yeah. I let Gotham get overrun with criminals because I love when Shane calls stuff gay.
The Joker is gay.
Joker is gay. The Riddler's gay. Yeah, it's awesome. It's like one of my. It's a cool thing of having famous friends where you're like, oh fuck, they like you. That's awesome.
But see, the thing is, we see CMC and we look at him with old girlfriend energy.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy,
left,
it was a
you
good.
How
bitch.
are you? How are
we
you?
had a
I
good
miss you,
time,
you
baby.
bitch.
Oh baby, we had a good time, and now you're in the Bay Area.
Remember the 1,000-yard, 1,000?
Oh my God, he's
Rusher,
incredible,
something?
and he's
Oh.
from Colorado. I mean, he's Ed McCaffrey's son,
Yeah.
and he like grew up in Colorado, so it was like.
But he's where he belongs. I mean, that team is where he belongs.
I mean, this is it. This is it. I think this is the year where it's like, do we win a title?
It's insane.
It's funny because now Shane's friends with the 49ers, and we are in the midst of a 49ers-Eagles rivalry
Yeah.
in December
Oh yeah,
3rd.
yeah.
And when
yeah.
I was at that barbecue, Kittle and Juszczyk were like, we're going to fuck the Eagles up. And I was looking at Shane the whole time. I was like, what do you think, girl? You won't say nothing, girlfriend? I loved it. It's so cool.
Shane's like, oh, I got to scratch my nose right now.
Yeah, I loved it, dude. I fucking loved it.
Dude, yeah, that's
But you can't tell a professional football player to their face they're not going to fuck them up in the first place.
Well, Shane can.
I think
Yeah.
that's true.
Shane was like, "Shut up, shut up! You guys are gonna lose." He was like, he was shaning him. It was fun.
he has that natural like big brother bully in him.
Well, he
That-
played football. He's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
locker room energy, so he can just hit him with locker room energy.
Oh, yeah.
He actually played here his second go around, or
Oh yeah, Elon.
Elon.
yeah.
I always think it's interesting when you find out like really good comics were also really good athletes. Like there's a comic named Ethan Simmons Patterson who's fucking phenomenal. He's not on any social media, but if you're ever in New York, go to the Cellar. He's there a lot. one of the most interesting people I've ever met in my life. Also, one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. And this dude just randomly, I've known Ethan, I don't know him well, but I've known him for like 2 years. We're just talking, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I played with Kittle." And I go, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I played safety at Iowa." And you're like,
Wow.
"What?" You're like, "That's so crazy. You were a Big Ten safety?" And he's like, "Yeah." Or like when you find out Vecchione wrestled at Penn State.
Yeah.
And you're like, "That's fucking
Yeah,
insane."
that's a
I would
great
lead with that.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody.
a-
Yeah, I wrestled at Penn State.
Well, was it? Oh my God, Gary
Gary Coleman played.
Coleman.
at-
Yeah, he played
at
tight end.
BC.
Yeah,
I mean, Greg Warren, another hilarious comic, was an All-American wrestler at Missouri.
that's crazy because you would think that would like. I mean, I guess I don't know. Everybody has their own routes to comedy, like
Yeah.
whatever. But
Mine was sucking at everything except comedy. Single thing, I was like, I suck at this. I suck at this comedy. I was like, well, hey now,
comedy.
isn't that bad?
I get to talk and people have to listen to me.
Yeah, all the things that got me fired from other jobs are getting me more money here.
Thank God you sucked.
I know.
We
Well,
were talking about the telemarketers before this.
Yeah.
Before we started
on
recording.
HBO.
Dude, like that job, as awful as it was, looked like something
fun.
so ideal for like that time of your life,
My
man.
buddy Joey worked in one of those places,
Mm-hmm.
and I immediately, after I watched episode 1, I like called him and I was like, "Dude, you gotta watch Telemarketers." And he wrote back, he's like, "I know exactly that kind of energy. I used to get fucked up at jobs like that."
It's insane. Like,
Have you watched the whole series?
no, I'm on
It
on
gets
episode 2.
Dark in episode 3 in a way that you're like, there's something that happens. They have a
Mm.
telemarketer call them that they know, and then there's a revelation that you're like, and when you find out what it is, you're like, that's dark as fuck.
Oh, because they keep hinting at that at the beginning. Like, there's like, we're gonna take this company down or whatever.
Dude,
Whatever it says.
just watch because it's good. I really enjoyed it. I still have like an hour to go in episode 3, but I really like in telemarketers.
I was you were talking about earlier about the placing, like club owners sort of like treating people differently.
Oh, yeah.
I was watching the Florida. I don't know if you've seen that, the Netflix.
No,
Florida.
but Jay was telling me, I was telling you guys, Jay and I were on the phone like gabbing like a little bunch of girls last night. But Jay was like, "You should watch it," and I'm a college football fan. I'm a casual college football fan. I'm a fanatic when it comes to the NFL, but I'm a casual college football fan. So I remember that whole Florida run.
Yeah, I'm not also not really a college fan as well, but like that team,
Crazy.
the Tebow, dude. Tebow is like when he talks about the things that he was doing then, you can see like he had this. I don't know if it's like super confidence or like he honestly believes in this otherworldly thing, but he honestly believed in himself so much that this shit happened.
Yeah.
It's like it's insane.
He was so good. I mean, that Florida team had so many all-stars on it.
Everybody.
It was insane.
By that last year, they had like Aaron Hernandez and
A
the
lot of
Pound
fake
season.
Christians after that run for Tebow.
Yeah.
But-
a lot of people being like, "I love the Bible."
Yeah, Jesus
I
is
guess.
awesome.
But
Guess.
that's how Urban Meyer treated the team. Then he would like your stars were getting top treatment.
Yeah.
And everybody that wasn't cutting it were like, it was like
You don't even get a Gatorade.
yeah, it was like get your own food.
Well, naturally, we called it Gatorade. You remember that commercial?
yeah.
Well, naturally, we called it Gatorade. I haven't watched that in years. But yeah,
my God.
it's like, but also, I don't hold anything against the club. I genuinely think it's funny. I think the best part of comedy is that whenever something bad happens to you, it's immediately funny. Where you're like, oh, this is funny. This sucks, but it's really funny.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so you see that treatment, and you're like, yeah, I do suck.
I think if you go through anything and you've got that real dark sense of humor about it in
Yeah.
life, no matter what your occupation is, you do get this different level of enjoyment about bad shit.
Yeah.
I personally, I've come to really enjoy fucked
I mean,
up
you guys are in some fucked up shit. I know you
Yeah.
can't say it publicly.
I mean,
but
I'm
you guys.
not, but
Oh no, no!
I was at one time.
We've
but
come
yeah.
out of the
Don't say
the
closet,
evidence
'cause it was
closet.
Yeah, okay.
Evidence closet.
Yeah.
Now, so we do the other murder podcast as well. So
But it's like you've seen some grisly shit, and if you don't have like, oh, this is funny.
Yeah,
go
you gotta have
crazy.
gallows humor, man. Like everything's like there. I honestly, and I'm not, it's not a pedestal thing, but there really isn't enough of that. Like people really want to attack something. They want to, whatever stand you take on something, it's automatically attacking. It's like sit back and there's something funny about all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, you
know?
don't have to rectify
Yeah.
everything. You can like let some stuff be like, oh, that's super fucked up. and laugh about it.
Yeah, John's grandfather was on his deathbed.
Yeah.
And he was really going downhill quick.
Yeah.
And John was like, man, do you mind if I tell this?
I don't know what the story is, but yeah, go ahead.
No, this seriously happened. Your grandpa, he was like in his 96,
Yeah,
going down,
yeah.
and he's like, he just wouldn't. He was so tough. World War II vet, all this crazy stuff, really painful exit. The guy was holding on. He just didn't know how to let go. It was his time, and John's like, I got it. So he goes into the room and he says something to him. Not long after he passed away, I was like, what'd you say to your grandpa? He goes, I told him my cousin dated black guys.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Full-blooded Italian. So,
Yeah,
So funny. From the South? Come
no,
on.
no, he's actually
Okay.
from
Maryland.
Maryland, and
I was going
like,
to say, that's a double whammy.
right at the
Full
Pennsylvania
Italian,
border.
full Italian and from south of Mason-Dixon?
Yeah.
That ain't going to be cool.
No.
Dude, my grandmother was going through the same thing. Old Okie. She's 95. She busted her hip, and she's in this rehab facility. And the doctor yesterday was like, she's not progressing. She's progressing healing from her broken hip, but it's not. And then it's like, you just want to be like, hey, go to the light.
Yeah.
The joke I made on stage last night, which would never end up on a special or anything, I was like, I'm so selfish because I want to be like, hey, can you die before I have to do all this paperwork? Like, I'm trying to get her enrolled in Medi-Cal, and it's like
Yes.
really hard. And I'm like, hey, it would be super sick if you just kind of went across the rainbow bridge, Nana.
He's right
Yeah.
there. So beautiful.
She's not going to do anything great with the time she has.
She's not
left.
going to kip up out of
Yeah.
the fucking broken hip. She's not Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, she's
you know?
right through the
But
fucking.
If she does, you have to sing the HBK music for
Oh,
her.
yeah. I'm just a sexy boy, sexy boy.
They have a choir singing that.
Yes.
Oh, dude, at her funeral?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But I mean, it's like the way she's going downhill, and I'm like really one of her only family members. There is stuff that, like, if I didn't go on stage and make fun of her breaking her hip, it would probably just eat at me because I'd feel bad that I'm not closer. I'd feel bad that I wasn't more involved.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm kind of restricted in a way. So the only way I know how to deal with this is make fun of it.
Well, and then there's those that go on, like, forums and Facebook pages or whatever, and just like, you're not funny, or I hate you. Like, that's their.
Well, you're not wallowing in grief. You're confronting it.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a lot healthier.
no,
than
I think it's much
most people,
healthier to
yeah.
do it that way. With other people hide behind a keyboard and like.
Oh yeah.
Try to,
Whenever someone is like super aggressive, I was telling I was talking to Arian Lewis about this in Austin. I was like, there's nothing worse than when someone writes something super mean to you online, and then you're like, because usually you go to their profile and that's what they do. Like, they're just like commenting on everything, like, fuck you, you suck. But when you go to someone's profile and they're just normal and they're just like, oh, it was a great day. And then there's the one to use, like, you suck, asshole. And you're like,
Yeah, they're not
"God damn,
trolling
dude." You're like,
everybody.
dude, I think that's just a valid opinion to have of me.
You start really taking
Yeah.
stock based off some
Like,
random.
do
image.
I suck, asshole? I think I suck, asshole.
I mean, this guy's. Whatever it was, broke him.
Yeah, it's just normal.
He just put his dog up
Yeah.
like 10 minutes ago. What
He's
did
like,
I
had the
do?
greatest day with my daughter. And then he's like, in your comment, he's like, you fucking pussy.
Well, just to counteract that a little bit,
Yeah.
I need to tell you, I always promised myself and him, if we ever got to do this,
Yeah.
we would tell you that you're part of our podcast origin story
No way.
in the best way.
Okay.
Also, maybe criminally culpable, depending on how we do things.
Yeah, sure.
We would ride around when the bonfire first started
Yeah.
and just listen to you guys
Oh,
for the
hell yeah.
entire show in one of our cars.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
And
One of
just,
us, yeah.
it was
Sometimes 2 or 3 man bicycles.
yeah,
something.
it
was-
depended. Yeah, we got
That would
circus.
never. No, come on. Man.
We had a unicycle. We rode
These
shoulders.
shoulders. It was.
We just had it on an old broken fucking.
Yeah.
We had striped jumpsuits on.
Yeah,
and
it was true, yeah.
Old barbells.
But you inspired us to take the first try
Yeah.
at this, and then we played it back, and we were so bad.
Well,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, a lot of people don't know. Jay and I did 10 hours of a podcast that became the bonfire.
Yeah.
We were like just doing a podcast like this, just like sitting in a fucking room, bullshitting. And then his late manager, Dave Kimowitz, who I fucking loved. I liked Dave. He was like, when Comedy Central found out and they wanted it, he like put together a sizzle reel, but we had already done 10 hours. So it wasn't like the first hour we listened to, we were like, this rules. We were like, ooh, take some of that. There's like maybe 5 minutes out of 60 minutes you can use on that.
Was this before This is before you guys were doing that thing
Soder
on-
show with
yeah, the
special
Soder- yeah.
guest? Yeah, dude, that was all from Jay and I, Christine, back in the day, we would like hang outside the cellar and smoke cigarettes and talk shit. And Christine was like, "You guys got to do a podcast." And I was like, "Well, Legion of Skanks just started." And I was like, "Well, you just started Legion of Skanks." And he's like, "Well, I could start another one." And I went to the store and got all the equipment, the mixers, the mics, the headphones. And then I was like, "Come to Queens and we'll just do the podcast there." And then we sat on my couch and did the podcast. And then we did it 10 times. And then we were like, all right, let's figure out what we want to call it and all this. And then Comedy Central, we were at an Attell taping. And the guy from Comedy Central, I was like, Attell was doing a show from the Village Underground on Comedy Central. And Jay was one of the comics on there. And I was like, oh, I'm here to watch Jay. And the guy was like, yeah, meet Steve. We called him Cool Dad on the Bonfire. And I was like, yeah, I'm here to watch Jay. We started a podcast. And he was like, what? He's like, have you guys released it? I was like, no. He's like, don't release it. And then he talked to Dave, and they gave him a sample. And Sirius wanted to hire me, and I was like, well, let's bring Jay in. And they were like, well, we're not going to give both of you a contract, but they gave me like $100 an episode contract, and it was for 6 episodes. And it literally was the Bonfire. It was me, Jay, Christine, Jacob, and DJ Lou, and Fiore.
Yeah.
That was we had the full crew.
Wow. I love Fiore.
And and I remember we walked out of the studio, the first test show. And DJ Lou goes, that's like one of the funniest shows I've ever worked on. And we were like, really? And we were like, yeah. And then Jay and I did like 3 episodes, and we noticed people were bootlegging them. And I was like, yeah, we got a show. I was like, I think we're going to have a show. And then we went through contract negotiation hell. But it worked out.
I remember you guys were, I don't know if both of you were on Bennington, or it might have been Ron and Fez at the time. I don't know. But Ron was like, yeah, you guys got to name it the Soda Shop, or like he was giving me all this. Yeah. I was like, dude, yeah, this is the show. Like, cause I remember you guys separately from, I mean, I'd been listening to you for years on Bobby's show, and then.
Yeah, I was on You Know What Dude, and then O&A. I was like one of the last comics to get over on O&A, which was real big for me. That meant a lot to me, cause that's how I learned about Patrice and Burr. And,
but dude, you were a presence in that room. Like everywhere you go,
man,
you got gravity, dude.
It was fun, man. It was like real cool. Chris DiStefano and I think were the last 2 comics to get over on Opie and Anthony. But Jay was always like my big brother. Like I opened for him on the road. Whenever I got to do Skanks, I was always like, because Lewis and I were boys and Dave and I were boys. But like Big Jay was like the guy that I was like, dude, that's like my big brother. And so when we were able to do that, I was like, dude, this is so fun. And I think Jay came up with the name Bonfire because we wanted an evergreen name in case one of us left 8 years later. But it worked. It worked. We were going to call it Sons of Gary, but if we would have called it that, it would have been weird if Bobby would have came in. You know, you see the future and you're like, it just worked out perfectly.
Well, I mean, there was definitely magic there for sure, man.
Dude, Jay and I were just laughing last night. We're like, we did a full Bonfire episode on the fucking phone.
Yeah, I mean,
it's always you guys are so authentic with each other, and everybody. But
he's legitimately like a lot of the part, like not the reason I left the Bonfire. I left the Bonfire just because I felt it was a good time to leave. There was no sour grapes or anything.
Well, I read online it's because you hated Jay Oakerson, and
dude, my favorite one was because Lynn sent in naked photos and Katie made me leave the show. Even though I had told Jay a year before that I was leaving. I love that that's the idea.
I got that info from Andy Pace himself.
Yeah, I like Andy, dude. Andy reached out and he's like, I started a Facebook group for your untitled podcast, and I was like, that's so sweet.
Yeah,
I think Jay and I both are like still in the same place we were in 2015, where we're just like super pumped that people liked it, and like Jay loves broadcasting, and so it was like, to me it meant so much that I left. I told Big Jim I was leaving, and they made sure like through all the channels that the Bonfire stayed on, and that fucking ruled. That was like, I was very proud of that.
Hold on just a second.
Yeah.
Let me see this mic real quick. I think it's...
Is it being gay?
Yeah. Here, can you change it?
It's like... Is it shorting out?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Is it also the way I was holding it? I'll hold this dainty.
No, it's good. We're good. Okay.
I will hold this dainty.
I've got one more. I know you got to go, and we are so grateful for your time. I've got one question to ask your opinion on.
Yeah.
It's a big thing we were talking about on the way up here. I don't trust people that did their homework on Saturdays.
Yeah, what?
Weekend homework.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that did that.
I mean,
that's a weird...
Friday night, I get your
Friday
early
afternoon,
people.
If you want to get half of it done. I was a late Sunday night, Monday morning.
Yeah.
Do your homework.
Yeah, I did some of mine in school before the bell rang.
Saturday is a weird
Don't
I
trust
don't know
that kid.
anybody.
Weird choice.
And like, I had some friends that were good students. I don't know anybody that was like, yeah, Saturday I'll do it.
Yeah.
No.
And a Saturday morning kid.
What? X-Men was on. WWF Superstars.
You know they're bringing back the X-Men 97 cartoon.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're supposed to be
Same
resurrected.
voiceover actors?
Majority.
Yes.
Who was the?
The guy did Wolverine. That's like
That's your definitive Wolverine voice.
it's like the
in my
definitive.
head.
It's like how Batman the animated series. That was the definitive.
Kevin
Batman
Conroy was that guy, and the other dude, I can't remember his name right now.
And Mark. That's what made. That's what made Luke Skywalker Joker.
100%.
Mark Hamill was like the Joker voice.
You know, Cyclops was Jeffrey Epstein on that
That's
show.
That's so funny.
unfortunate.
He's like, yeah, let's get kids to my island.
still
I'm gonna
support him.
zap him with my laser, dude. If
Kitty
Cyclops,
Pride.
I'm wondering how long until they do that in a comic, where they make like a comic turn out to be like Magneto was actually a pedophile, and you're
It's
like,
been done.
have they?
I'm in touch with the Geekyverse, and they did years ago they did something on Justice League where a dude named Dr. Light, who was like a C to D level villain, ended up being like a rapist.
Oh,
like a full on rapist.
Well, I have some fan fiction you guys might want to take a look at. It's
I love it, dude. I love that you're like, I made all of the Avengers pedophiles.
they're all pedophiles.
Hawkeye
They're just
loves
fucking awful.
You
Hawkeye
should've seen-
loves Thai boys.
Captain America unfroze and just went right for 14-year-olds.
That's so funny. Captain
should
America goes, why, we could do that back in the 40s.
My girl
Well,
was 15.
Yeah,
when
don't
we
you
were married.
understand? They're good. Elvis did it. Why can't I do it?
The only one who's not is Stark, and that's where the
Yeah,
swerve is.
yeah.
It's like you would have thought he's the
Stark.
one.
Yeah, you would think he would go to Epstein Island.
Yeah.
Stark's actually into fucking big girls.
Yeah,
He's like,
keep him
that's-
out of a subway bathroom. But
Yeah.
other than that, he's
I
good.
he's
love-
like, I actually have a cock slit in the Iron Man suit so they don't crush me.
I love BBWs. That's what the end of
So
Iron Man
funny.
was.
I think that's probably Iron Man BBWs might be the title, the subtitle of this
That's
episode.
so funny. Where she go, Tony here? You're like, who are you? Like, you know who I am.
You know those fingernails are on point too.
Yeah, yeah. She go, I'm here for Iron Man. Iron Man ain't got no problem getting hard for me. Pepper
Iron Real Man.
Potts is skinny ass. Get your skinny ass out of here, Pepper Potts.
Skinny ginger bitch.
Give me some of that Iron Man sugar. War Machine like white bitches.
You know that's actually a
That's
fact.
so funny.
100%.
You got them snow bunnies running around.
He shows up with like a 5. Just a
Yeah.
white girl that's a 5.5.
Just a skinny, methed out blonde girl.
You imagine how pissed War Machine would be if like the new iteration of armor that Tony made for him had a fur coat.
That's so
It's like
funny.
and a big hat.
He goes, sheep, 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 sheep. Oh, come on, Tony.
Tony.
Sheep, 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 sheep. See when it comes back on. Sheep, 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 sheep.
That's
Dude,
good shit.
you are the fucking man.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing?
yeah.
This is when I want to let you guys know how you should know that Dan Soder's a good guy, because we saw you like a long time. Well, not a long time ago.
Yeah, Charlotte.
This was before that. This was in
It's actually in Raleigh.
Raleigh. Yeah,
here.
the old Good Nights.
The old
Yeah.
club.
Yeah, the haunted
Yes.
old haunt.
Speakeasy.
So I
Yeah.
was like, I'd never spoken to you, anything like that. But like, you know, like I said, we'd always been fans, big fans. And I was standing, it was after your show. I hadn't talked in a while, right? So, you know, like when you don't talk for a while, your voice, you kind of
Yeah, you get like throat mucus.
yeah. Well, I had, I was waiting for you. You were like walking around or something.
Who knows?
And I had a Mega Power shirt on.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It was like the Hogan colors, right?
Yeah.
The Mega Powers, right? I'm kind of standing off, and you like walk by me, and you go, "That's a great shirt, right?" Mm-hmm. And I'm like, just so caught off guard. I'm like, oh, and like, dude, I look like I had Down syndrome. Like, just be honest.
You still do.
Yeah, I sure do. It's fine. But I went right into it at that moment, and I was like, no, because like I couldn't think of anything to say, and like I was like, yeah, I had to get the one with the regular colors on it, and you were like, it's cool, buddy, and you were like, and I was like looking around like
dude.
through my yeah.
If only
But
you'd
you were
been
like
holding
so
a
super nice
lunchbox.
about it, and I'm like,
You're like, fuck. Is that one of those ones you walk away and you go, why the fuck did I say
oh,
that?
I've told that story a lot of
Yeah.
times on here, and I'm like, I wish I could take that back.
No, dude, I've had so many of those. I've had that with like Rock, with Louis, with like guys that I grew up like loving, and
Yeah.
I walk away and I'm like, why did I say that?
All I had to say
I
was
even did that
thanks.
to like Rogan. I like said something and then I was literally getting out of the shower in this hotel room yesterday before the show, and I remember something I said to Rogan, and I like was drying my hair and I stopped and I was like, fuck.
Dude,
It's like it hits you like
Yeah.
that.
It's the Spirit of the Staircase, but in reverse.
Yeah, it's like talking a hangover.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
I have those like once a week probably anyway, but like that one has just stuck with
Well,
me.
dude, forgive yourself.
No, I can't. I cannot do it.
It will live on in infamy in his mind forever.
I love it.
Yeah, it was. It's just I don't know.
I just laugh
the
and go,
cringe.
I'm dumb.
Yeah.
That's it.
You know, but anytime I start to feel slightly good about myself, those things creep in and
Oh,
it's like,
yeah, yeah,
oh
yeah.
no, you're horrible. You're the worst.
I do that
And-
constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that
You're the
constantly.
heart and soul of this
But-
show for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Dan Soder is not. He is a great man.
Great.
He's,
Oh, I appreciate y'all.
the
You guys-
Regs, we didn't talk about that, but the Regs
So fucking
awesome.
funny, dude.
This
Oh, it's
is,
good. It's good to have the
I mean,
band back together.
everybody's loving it. It's all the guys.
Dude,
man.
I appreciate y'all coming by.
Man,
Man,
thank
for
Thank
real.
you,
so much.
man.
Appreciate
Thank you
you.
so
Dude,
much.
Yeah, hell yeah.
We love you.
We love.
I love you guys too.
All right. I mean, we're gonna look at some. We're gonna look at some Avengers fan fiction.
Yeah,
I'm just
dude.
gonna go ahead and
Go
down
write
the
some
hall.
crazy shit.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Everybody, y'all be cool.